Okay, so I kind of wanted to highlight why initiators are so important in Valorant, and I think Bind is a really good example of that. So just think about this map, right? When you go to hit a site, you need to really take map control first, and I like to call this phase one and phase two. So on Bind B site, it's really specific and it's really obvious, I think. If you go B first, you have to take Guardian control, right? That's step one, and then also it'd be nice to have hookah control. So you kind of need both of these areas in order to hit B. But if you're just playing Jet or Chamber or something like that, you're kind of gonna have a difficult time going up B long or even going into hookah, right? Because you don't have any utility to clear that. So if you're in ranked and like you're having a hard time coordinating with your teammates and like they're not using any utility for you, B isn't really like an easy option. Like you kind of just have to take the duel and win that duel, right? But if you're playing an initiator, such as like, I don't know, Fade or Sky or Sova, you'll be able to take both of these areas pretty easily. With Fade, you could just throw your dog through and then you'll have your eyeball for the site, right? So it's you kind of dictate exactly where you want map control and where you're gonna fight when you're playing initiator. Like essentially, initiators, in my opinion, have the most control over the game because their utility is the most impactful. So if you have like good communication and like good ideas on where their setups are or anything like that, like you actually actively think about the game, I think initiators are the best role in order to do so, and that's why you see double initiators played on a lot of maps. Their utility is so impactful, right? Like if you run out of Fade util, then you can just use another initiator's util, and if you combine them together on an execute, which I'll get into in a second, for phase two, like it's so easy to really control the pace of the game. So phase one, let's just pretend like you have Fade Sova or something. We can have the Fade go B long, and then we can have the Sova go hookah, right? And it's pretty simple. Like your Fade, oops, that's Sky. Your Fade could dog up long, and then your Sova could drone hookah. Right now you're through phase one. Like now you've gotten um, B long, or yeah, now you've gotten B long and you've gotten hookah control without dying, right? That's the most important thing about initiator is you want to use your util early in the round through phase one in order to get map control without dying. And if you can get to this point safely, maybe you've gotten a kill or whatever, but the most important part is that you've actually gotten the map control and you haven't lost any numbers. Now we're going into the site. I like to call this phase two, right? So phase one, get map control. Phase two, actually go for the execute. And look how easy it is to actually hit the site. Like what do you need to do? All you really need is like one piece of utility for the site and maybe a couple smokes, and that's your execute on B. Like B site, you have like a handful of spots to play. You can play close left, you can play in the cubby, you can play in the tube, by this box, or back site somewhere. And if you get, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 locations that you could play. I guess you can count under hookah as 1, 2, so 6. Not a lot of spots you could play, and just a little bit of utility would clear this entire site, right? So like, one Fade Eye in the center of site, or like one Silver Dart towards back site, or something like that, and you can just clear your close angles pretty easily. Or even if you want to, you could just use dog or drone. But my point is that phase two isn't the hard part. The execute is actually the easiest part in this game because you just throw all your utility and people just run out together, right? But the hard part about this game, in my opinion, especially on Bind, I think it illustrates it really well, is that phase one, aka getting map control, like B long and hookah without dying, is the tough part. And the benefit, I think, of even just this is like you don't have to go into the execute, right? So let me clear the map here. You don't actually have to go into the execute. So let's say we go up B long, we go up hookah, we have all this control, and they smoke you guys off. Well, that's okay because you guys have pulled them off of A and made them use utility to stop you, right? So I think that's really important to know too. Is like you don't have to just rush and take the site. Like you control the pace when you're initiator. You can be like, hey, let's slow down, right? Because you use your util to take this control, and now you will also use your util to execute into the site, right? So if you decide to stop, you tell your teammates that they don't have to commit, you won't commit, and you've just burned their util and made them rotate. So this is really the hidden power, or maybe not even the hidden power, but like the power of initiator that people don't really talk about is this. And the common advice of like playing like Jet, Reyna, or Chamber, like you're gonna have a pretty difficult time, I think, of getting the map control on Bind or like on other areas on different maps. Like maybe let's think of Haven A Long, for example. If you're just playing Jet or Chamber, you have to try peek that without Initiator Util. Like that's pretty difficult, right? Or even getting Garage control on this map. Ideally, you use it with some type of util. So if you're playing Initiator, you can dictate all of this, and it doesn't mean that like if you have bad mechanics, like you shouldn't pick these agents to rely on them. But like if you have good mechanics, you're gonna be really good as well. Like just think of like really good flex players, right? You have Victor, you have Zeppa, you have Zekin, like all of these players that are really good on flex, like they dominate, right? Because like you can still fight with your own utility, and I think that's what people don't really understand. It's like Fade is really strong right now because she gets to take control of her own util. She'll dog for herself or for her teammate and then be able to take a fight afterwards, right? So you can clear Garage essentially just with one dog and your own gun. And it's better for you to do it for a teammate because they can take the pace of it better. Like they can follow it up right away. But that doesn't mean like that's how it has to be. Like Fade can still be really self-sufficient and play for herself. And if you have good mechanics and your teammates aren't listening to you, then you still have an opportunity to like carry the game. Whereas like when you're playing Jet and Chamber and Reyna, like if you're having like 50-50 gun duels all the time and they're opping or they're using util better than you, then you're gonna have like a hard time carrying the game, right? So I think a lot more people should consider using Initiator, and I think it's a really good role. Hopefully that illustrates a little bit about Initiator and like why it's good to be picked and why it's a little bit underrated. But yeah, hopefully you guys like that video, and yeah, thank you.